Welcome to the Connor's Corner segment of Ask the Lawyer. I'm a big fan of old movies, and back in the 30s and 40s and 50s, there were so many great character actors around Hollywood, and later on, there didn't seem to be quite as many personalities. But we're very privileged to have on one of the great personalities in cinema, Wilford Brimley. How you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you.
The obvious question: before you were an actor, what kind of jobs did you have?
Many. I was a bartender. I was a horseshoer. I was a racehorse trainer. Several.
How'd you get into acting and into Hollywood?
Well, I started out as what they call an extra in films. I could get around a saddle horse pretty good, or a team of wagons. I could drive teams, and they were always looking for those kind of guys. So that's how I got in the beginning.
I was looking on IMDb, and I saw that you were in True Grit. If I saw True Grit today, the John Wayne True Grit, how would I spot you?
You would not spot me. I was an extra. I did a little horseback work in there, and then I was just one of the folks that were. I had no scripted part in there. I was an extra.
But we can't see. Hey, that's him in the background there in whatever scene.
Well, you might see. There's a courtroom scene there where you might see me. When you work as an extra, it's kind of one of your jobs is not be seen so you can be recognized. If all you do is show them a live warm body, then they'll call you back tomorrow. But if they see your face and it's recognizable, well, obviously they can't use you again.
Now, let me ask you something. That film was directed by Henry Hathaway, who's really one of the last of the great Hollywood directors. Did you have any interaction with him? What did you think of him?
None whatsoever. I didn't even meet him. You
didn't even meet him?
No.
Well, how'd you get from being an extra to being an actor?
Well, he quit making westerns, and I had a really good friend who I still happen to think he's the best actor we have, and he encouraged me to throw my hat in the ring and try it. Robert Duvall, my friend.
Yes, who was in True Grit and did have a very important part.
Yeah.
How does the conversation go? How does he get you into acting?
Well, he just suggested that I try it, and we had conversations. I would say, what do I have to do? And he would say, just do it. Don't worry about all wherewithal, just do it. The hard part about being an actor is not doing the work, it's getting the job.
I've heard that before. Now, did you take any training as an actor? Did you go to an acting school?
No, I didn't. Maybe I should have. I don't know.
No, that's why
I didn't know.
That's why you have a unique personality. You weren't trained in an acting school. You were yourself.
Well, yeah.
Obviously, you were in some notable films, including one of the great baseball movies of all time, The Natural, and you played the manager. Are you a baseball fan?
Yes, I did. Yes, I am.
How did you get into the part, and what was the part? Tell the audience, what was the part? Who did you play?
Well, I was Pop Fisher, the manager of the New York Knights, and the way I wound up doing that is I had an agent, who submitted me to that company for that part, and I interviewed the director, and we got along okay, and then they hired me.
But you're the most memorable guy in that movie, and there are a lot of great actors in that, including your buddy Robert Duvall and Robert Redford and Darren McGavin and Richard Farnsworth. I always appreciated his performances.
Well, he was my best friend in life, and we had a lot of fun doing that movie. Now,
was Richard Farnsworth in True Grit?
No.
But he used to do a lot of stunt work or whatever before he became an actor.
Yeah. He was a AAA stuntman. He started out in 1937, doubling Gary Cooper and Beau Geste.
That's amazing. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he was a special guy.
No, there's no question he had a great screen presence, as obviously you do. Now, let me ask you something. The Thing. I read something that you weren't crazy about the movie, but everything you read's not true, obviously.
Crazy about it? No, I thought it was okay, I tell you, I'm not a big fan of special effects. I'm not a real big fan of the creation Oh, those scary dogs and slimy. The old days, the audience used to create that for themselves in their own mind, and it was a lot better as far as I'm concerned.
All right, let me ask you, what's the favorite film that you were associated with?
Oh, I did a lot of films, and the one that I enjoy thinking about the most was a little movie that we all got together, Bob Duvall and Glenn Close and Freddie Forrest and myself. It's called The Stone Boy, and it's a pretty good film, really. Then I did another one with a guy that's a brilliant actor, Levon Helm. We did one called End of the Line about a railroad yard.
Now, you're still doing work now? It looks like it from IMBD.
No, I don't. I don't. I'm getting old, and I don't get around real good. And, it'd be hard for somebody to hire me to, and in fairness to them, I have to tell them I don't get around very good.
One of the things I enjoyed your performances in some of those TV westerns with Tom Selleck, TNT. I mean, they obviously wasn't great cinema, but they were good, entertaining films. Why do you think the western died out, and do you miss it?
Well, it costs a lot of money to make them, and the people that made them and were so good at it, they're all gone. It's a different bunch that runs the film business now, and clearly their interests are not along those lines.
You mean it's more expensive to make a western than to see 10 cars blow up?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, sure. You got all the clothes, you got to go to a certain place where there's no telephone wires. It's a big deal. And if it's a good one, there's a lot of folks in it.
Yeah, I learned something because I would have thought a western was relatively cheap to make compared to all these films with special effects and things like that.
Oh, well, now, those movies like the Titanic and those monster epic, they'll break the bank. But day-to-day movie, westerns up there in cost.
Now, of course, I think everybody remembers when you were the spokesman for the Diabetes Association. Do you have any comments about that? You've been suffering from the disease for a long time, I understand.
Well, I don't suffer from it. I take care of it, and it's not a problem.
So what would you advise people to do? How do you take care of it?
Check your blood sugar as often as you can and see a good doctor.
Okay. Do you ever get any fan mail right now?
We do. My wife, she's one in a million. She sits down and answers every letter, and it's amazing.
I would assume you still get a lot of fan mail because talking to other people, again, you were one of the most recognizable actors of the present time. Now, I understand you also released a jazz album a few years back.
Yeah, I got several of them. Music is an important part of my life, so I recorded music primarily for my grandchildren so that they could hear some songs rather than noise.
Well, I assume those albums are available for sale.
I don't know where you'd buy one of them. I really don't. The first one I did, I was hired to do it by the Hallmark Company, and they produced the album. And for a while, it was for sale. It did pretty well. And subsequent to that, I'd put together a bunch of songs and then take a group into the studio. And so we have, I think, altogether 5, maybe only 4 albums. But it's pretty good music. Never mind. I'm not a singer. I don't pretend to be. But I can carry a tune and remember the words. And I wanted my grandkids to hear those songs.
Now, if you asked your grandkids, or if you told your grandkids one film to watch where you performed, what would it be and why?
Well, it'd probably be The Stone Boy.
The Stone Boy?
Yeah, because it was very, very well written, and the people in it that made it were dedicated to it, and it's a very poignant story that's timeless. It could be today or yesterday or day after tomorrow. It's what it's like. It's a story of a family trying to adjust to a tragedy in the family and how they succeed and fail, and life goes on.
Who did you play in that film? What was the character?
I played the grandfather. To the stone boy, to the young man in question.
Wilford Brimley, thank you for being on Connor's Corner. We really appreciate you taking the time to talk to our audience.
Well, thanks for the call, pal.
You're more than welcome.